Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Queen's Wish. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you're supposed to join me today, as we are probably forced to go... Well, we are going over there, but we're all probably going to be forced to go into Nakala and have a chat with everybody there and all that sort of stuff, because the other options here are to... Actually, I kind of wanted to go north as well. There is a massive, grim expanse of swamp to the north, an unending stretch of mire and stagnant water. Even if you had a guide, it would take months to get through it. Well, not necessarily. There is one route, a long bank of raised earth, protected by towers spanning the mire to the north. Your path to the northern Ukat leads through here. Well, there really isn't much else to see, but there's a lot of stuff to see, if that makes any sense. There's also the Gellum mines over there, so let's not go north right now. I was debating whether to actually try to go north before going to the main city or not, but we're going to have dialogue with a bunch of characters in here anyway, so I might as well have the dialogue with a bunch of characters in the main city. You approach this remote Ukatish homestead. Someone is still living here. Still living here? As in... after the apocalypse or something? What do you mean still? Smoke rises from the chimney and you hear people talking quietly inside. I'm gonna knock on the door. There's a long pause. There, because you don't hear them anymore. And a lot of worried whispering. Then it means there isn't a long pause. Then the door opens a crack. A terrified farmer peers out at you. He looks at your insignia and your weaponry and decides that nothing good can come of this. Who are you? Greetings, I am Prince Jeff of Haven. The man blinks a few times. We're simple folk here. We don't know about your high matters. Please leave us, we have nothing to offer. As you start to turn away, you hear a child's cry. You peer through the opening and see a hearth with a low fire burning in it. The man's wife is tending to a young girl who's clearly ill. Is someone sick? It's hard to read the man's expression. Fear, anger, shame. He shakes his head. She is sick. Just the fever from the swamps. It will pass. It always has. Well, I have magic. Perhaps I can cure her? Now the man looks horrified, though you aren't sure why. I'm sorry, visitor. I'm being rude. We are simple. We must be alone. Please go. And he slams the door shut. The bar holding it locked falls into a loud, or with a loud thunk. Well, I guess, he doesn't like magic, I suppose. Which, we're reloading, something happened there. Which I suppose is totally fair, considering that, I have no idea how, I must have clicked, I don't know what happened. But, anyway, there's ghosts. There's ghosts. Oh, I ruined it again. I am bad. So yeah, basically, there's ghosts here. Of course he doesn't like magic. Unless, of course, ghosts are not magic. Which could also be the case. I mean, anyway. Knock on the door. Prince Jeff. Someone's sick. Can I help you? Let's go with that. For a moment, the man is tempted. The girl coughs again, and he flinches. And then he shakes his head. I'm sorry, visitor. I'm being rude. Okay. Then be rude, then. And also, let's save the game, just in case I ruin everything over here again, because I really don't know how I clicked. I just clicked over here. Oh, I might have clicked over here. Look at how far away you can get it. Yeah, because it's basically a whole thing. This is good. Although, it also isn't, because of what we just saw. As you travel through this part of the swamp, the air grows colder. In some places, icy mud crunches under your feet. The mist in the air is thicker. In places, it seems to move under its own volition. It seems like a pretty standard haunting, not uncommon in these less developed lands. Haven officers receive regular training on what to do when a haunting is found. There's a formal process in place. Yeah, they run away like scared little kittens. Also, just to finish this UI thing, this is good. It's really good because you don't actually have. Some games even require you to click on the black part of the lettering, and like if you click in the middle of the O, it doesn't work. That's really bad UI. This is good though. This is the best sort of stuff because well, you can you can click anywhere, and you don't have to, like, always click in here, which is bad because it blocks the reading. But the easy way out of this, or the easy way out of the problem that we just witnessed here of opening this very quickly and closing it immediately by mistake because I'm clicking on the interface or clicking on the map, is that you don't allow me to click any one of these things for the first, let's say half a second is probably enough, for the first half a second after the screen changes. Some games do that for every change, which might be a little bit infuriating if you're just skipping through the dialogue, and I have hiccups, I'm sorry about that. But if you're skipping through the dialogue, then I need to wait half a second for each. But half a second is a pretty good compromise. More than that, some games do more than that for sure, and it is very, very infuriating. But that's all you needed. That avoids all the misclicks, just like that. The mist surrounding you coalesces. It takes a solid form. Vague humanoid shapes glide toward you over the water. They do indeed, apart from the water, and also the gliding. But apart from that, they do glide toward me. So I'm gonna go. I can't attack you. There's no way. Yeah, there's no way to attack you. So I'm just gonna. Oh, I should have gone there. No, I still have. Jeff can go there. Okay. And we're gonna do a whirlwind. That is an evasion up there. Okay. Indeed, I'm gonna try to kill that icy shade before Jeff has a chance to attack. That's an evasion. That's 2 evasions. Let's see what I can do here. Unfortunately, that's a miss. And Jeff is out or off. So if I go over here and then over there, that is about as much. Actually, from here, I'm in a good position, so I might as well go here and do the whirlwind. Good enough. Another evasion. Another evasion. It's normal because these are low-level creatures. Unfortunately, we got hit. Okay, 26. Yeah. Missed. It didn't take damage that time, but anyway, it's fine. We're just getting slowed and missed, or not missed. My God. Just misses after misses there. On that Icy Shade Terrence here. Okay. This is not going too well. How are you losing health? You are. Ah, well, we can handle. Let's just move over here. My God, I hate it. I hate it so much. Holy crap. And Anna never missed a single hit. Unless, of course, that was on purpose. No, it was not. They're not immune to that type of attack. Okay. I think maybe the vulnerable changed the health or resistance anyway, because we're taking damage for days. But we're fine with that. It's not a problem. Yeah, damage is going up. Damage is definitely going up. So, you might as well do a healing wave. And then you do a healing. You don't. You do a healing. You do a healing. Even though it's sort of not necessary, but we're good with that. Because we're going to gain energy. So, there go the shades. No more shades for me. I say that, but I think we're about to... No, what are those? In this circle of standing stones, you find a small band of mirelings surrounding a massive beast. The mirelings try to flee. The massive beast crushes one of them under its hoof. They stop running. Then their master picks one... What do you mean their master? We have a mireling master in here? Their leader, maybe? Anyway, one of them, I think, probably, most likely, unless there's a mireling controller in here or something, picks one of them up in its mouth and flings it at you. Battle is joined. I hate it when battles are joined. What are we talking about here? I have no idea what the flinging was. That was a weird description. Let's go with the Battle Frenzy here. And kill them all. Now that, well, basically Battle Frenzy alone is a game changer. Seriously, the difference of our proficiency in battle when we have the speed and the blessing. It's just unbelievable. Okay. That's an evasion. That's a kill. That's 2 damage. I'm really waiting for the Mire board to join the fray. There we go. Block damage, but stunned. But stunned is the worst kind of stunned. You don't want to be butt stunned at all. Ever. There we go. A little bit of poison. And then we just attack the little guys, because... well, that's the way of things. You're back. Good enough. 48. That is a lot of damage there. Also, mostly because... melee damage... You know... I think this is a better way. The thing with the... I don't know why I do this. I don't know that it is a better way, actually. Using melee characters that need positioning and can tank as well to take on the toughest enemy, but then use the ranged opponent or our ranged combatants to fight the little enemies off first before killing the big guy. I think this is better. I think the reason why that is because it's always so much of a pain to position around a big enemy than it is so much more of a pain to position around a big enemy than it is to position around smaller enemies. Mostly because smaller enemies die so fast that it doesn't really matter where your position goes. So if I'm gonna have to prioritize positioning, which I have a lifetime of being taught that positioning is king, if I'm gonna have to prioritize positioning, then I don't know what my logic is. It's just sort of an instinct doing what I did now. The way I did it. You can probably see me do that throughout the Let's Play before, but anyway. You search the nests, there's multiple, of the mirelings. There is nothing but gnawed bones and trash. Well, it wasn't trash for the mirelings. You find a skeleton clad in rusting armor. You can find no identification. You do, however, find... it doesn't have an ID. You do, however, find a scattering of silver coins. You collect them. Find no identification is a weird way of saying it, but it isn't incorrect, in the sense that, you know, you can't identify who it was. That's what it probably should have said, because we're not gonna be looking. Oh, look! Show me your passport, Mr. Skeleton. So we are. Oh, we're still far away, so we do need to go south. Oh yeah, we do need to go south. There's a lot of stuff down south. Let's see where this, what this tells us. This is an isolated farmhouse. Someone is here. Smoke rises, not still here, which is interesting. Some smoke rises from the chimney. However, the lands are untended. The door opens, revealing a humble, smoky home. Inside, you see a young couple. They have a small child who is bundled up near their fire. The parents stare at you, uncomprehending. The woman says, "The Havenite." And then the boy lets out a long, ragged cough. It's painful to hear. The mother turns to tend to him. The father stares at you. Yes, I am Prince Jeff of Haven. Oh, we are Ukatish. He stands up straight. His wife turns her back so that you can't see her sick child. Even in their misery, they are proud. No! Although we have seen them being proud already. It's not a surprise that the Ukatish are proud. It's just so it's bad. There's no other way of saying it. It's just bad. It's like what I said before. I said it in frustration, even though I was serious when I said that just assume everybody is proud in this game. It's every time I get that confirmed. It's no, please don't. Also, this also implies here, which is another problem to this, besides just the using of the word proud over and over again. It implies that being sick is considered a bad thing in this culture. When I say a bad thing here, I mean not necessarily on the child here, but specifically on the parents. So it's like their culture shames sickness, which, yeah, unfortunately, it's not. This is not on purpose. What I mean to say is that this is the same shame that we see in real life, and it's internalized. And the writer just didn't think about it too much, and because it doesn't matter. And not everybody, of course, not everybody in real life shames sickness, but there is and especially among older people there, and depending on the country that you live in, obviously, and when you live and all this sort of stuff, there's this sort of stuff is what you'd expect to see in certain parts of the world at certain times. And when I say world, I mean the real world. And in this game, it probably would. It probably doesn't make sense because countries and people that live off the land tend to be much more attuned to what I mean to say is that there's more of a reason to shame things that are uncommon, and from a tribalistic and sort of like instinctive and really mean really perspective, because you're shaming things. But still, there's more of a reason to shame. I don't know. Let's try to think something that doesn't just absolutely imply hate, rather than just being a jerk or socialized that way. I don't know. Somebody who is very tall. Let's go with that. That does happen to a lot of people. Although I don't personally know anybody that was bullied in school for being very tall. We don't have a lot of very tall people in Portugal. Which you'd think that the ones that aren't indeed tall would get shamed the most. Nah, that doesn't really happen in my experience. Although I'm not very tall, so what do I know anyway? But the point, the thing is, if being very tall wasn't common in a society, it makes sense for you to write to that society, because we're talking about fiction, so we're talking about writing conscious decisions of a writer. It makes sense for you to write to that society as a shaming of people who are tall, right? For whatever reason, you can just make it up. Oh, because they're descendants of dragons, even though they're not really. But it's all fiction, so it doesn't matter. Maybe they are. It doesn't care. We don't care. What doesn't make sense, however, is for societies where everybody is tall, you write them to be shameful of everybody who is tall. I mean, it does if you want to jump through hoops and justify that with maybe the blood of the dragon, as I said, but this is not. This is just a simple thing about a child being sick. And what I'm saying is, it seems that this is pretty common in here, for whatever reason. It seems that it's pretty common for children to be sick here, and apparently they're ashamed of it. And, yeah. Is there anything I can do to help? You help? He says the word as if he has never heard it before, mostly because that's probably not his language or something. I don't know. My child is sick. It is our private suffering. No worry for great powers. Yeah, he does talk as if that's not his main language. I have a healing potion. The man and woman look at each other. He starts to say something. The child coughs again. His head drops. Yes, you may help. You offer the potion, and soon the magic of Haven has made the child well. The fever breaks, and the coughing stops. The man says, I need to pay you. We have little. I will find something. No, that's not necessary. I will already be conquering your country, which is more than enough. You don't need to pay. The man ignores your words. You repeat them. Yes, I will be conquering your country. That's all you need to pay for. This writing is obviously meant to show that Haven is a good influence on the countries it conquers, even though it isn't on many accounts. For many reasons, and on other countries, although maybe it does feel a little bit weird on this one, though. We didn't see that. That is now that I think about it, immediately like it. Ooh, okay, well, so let me walk you through my thinking process right now. This text over here, let's read it to the end. We will not be in debt to Haven, he says. They also give you some rough bread and. No, did he get? Oh, he actually dug a lone precious coin out of a chest and gave it to you. That's when he said that thing about that. And he also gives me some rough bread, and deeply sincere thanks. You leave them to their privacy and return to the cold and wet. And he gave me 1 gold. So I think that text there is meant to show that we can help the people of Haven. Oh, sorry, not the people of Haven. The people of the Ukat, the Ukatish people. However, it feels very much like that is the point of that particular text that we just read. But that's where my thought process went. This feels out of place because that's not the case for the other countries. Which is, I thought about it not being the case for the other countries. I mean, the other countries over here are the Ariel and these don't. Oh, the Vol is right there. Both of those. And I thought that because it's this runs opposite to some of the other narratives that we get out of this. For example, specifically in the Agriel, we have the enabling of the poisoning of the land, as well as the poisoning of the mind of half the population, who apparently exploits the other half. It's sort of a similar situation with the Vol, although the Vol is a little bit more clear-cut and less maybe metaphorical, because there's a lot of metaphor. Well, there's not a lot of metaphor, but there's a little bit of metaphor here going on the Agriel regarding the land and how poisoned it is and how hostile and whatnot. Because Haven certainly enabled the leaders of Agriel. But here in the Vol is a little bit on your face, or on your nose, in the nose, on the nose. You know what I mean. It's a little bit more obvious, because Haven was actively complicit in the enslavement of most of the population here in the Vol, and also the construction of a system that ensures that the population of slaves grows and continues existing. So, obviously there, we have bad for half the population here in the Agriel, and bad for nature, and also bad for the ones that do drink all the poison or whatever they have. So bad in different ways for different things. Here, bad for the majority of the population, the slaves, and here, not like that. Here, not like that. And this is where my thought process went. The Ukatish are uniquely portrayed, and I say uniquely, they are all uniquely portrayed in their own way, but the Ukatish are portrayed in a different way for the others. And because, you know, I'm not saying that the others are similar, I'm saying that the Ukatish the way the Ukatish are portrayed is, as we were talking last episode, and have been talking throughout the whole thing, as victims. Which it doesn't work. It's the whole thing that I was mentioning. It doesn't work. You can't portray them as victims. Because they are not being portrayed as victims, by the way. The game is not doing a successful job at portraying them as victims. But the game is saying that they feel hate, I think was the word used, and towards the people who do bad things to them, which is justified, honestly. in all the other ones do the same, and that's why the game is not doing a good job portraying them as victims. The problem is that just because it's doing a bad job, it doesn't mean that the game is not portraying them as victims. And there's a very, very damaging trope, specifically in the way actual real-world victimized and oppressed populations are portrayed in media. And I'm specifically talking about, for example, Native American people, or just African people, or African Americans in media. And the trope is, it's academically referred to as, quote, the white savior. And there's no racial component here, so it doesn't apply. But that doesn't mean that the trope might not... well, it doesn't mean that it's not very eerily similar to that trope, is what I mean to say. And the white savior is basically... You see that in a lot of movies, but also in other fiction, and just in general, it's a part of culture well, it's in movies for a reason, because people think that way and stuff. But basically the premise, or the way the trope goes, is that while somebody of noble intent who comes from outside of a specific oppressed community, I say somebody, I mean somebody who's white, of noble intent, goes in there and sees, as a way for the audience to empathize with the community, sees what, you know, their plight, and is like, oh, look at this, they're all slaves, or maybe their lands are being burned and all that sort of stuff, and then that person who's white will work with the community, or for the community, or, you know, work to save them. Basically, that's basically the trope. And in an isolated example, and in isolated examples, it's not really it's not really a trope, of course, but it doesn't really show much. It's more of as a pattern in media that it shows. Well, that's why the problem with the white savior trope is that it places the burden of savior on the individual rather than on the systems that make people oppressed in the first place. And that's why I said you don't need to pay anything. I was I had that context in my mind when I said you don't need to pay anything. I'm gonna take your country over, which is very likely what's gonna happen, because the systems are the things at fault. Not in this case, not in the Ukatish, because they're not really oppressed. It doesn't work. I mean, the game is saying that they are, but they're not. They suffer the same as the other ones. The same exact things. That they have wars and they're kidnapped and killed and all that. It's just how it goes. But the systems, if they did indeed suffer, the systems would be the ones responsible for their suffering. And it's never. I mean, it's not just about the individual action. I was going to say it's never about individual action. No, it is. It is also about individual action. Obviously, you need to be empathetic and you need to work with the people and you need to understand their plight. But in doing that, you need to realize that the reason why they are in a situation like that, not the Ukatish though, but in real life, the reason why they are in a situation like that is because of the systems that led them to that. And when I say systems, I mean multiple systems. Slavery is a system, and system is a sociological definition, I believe. It's like a proper academic term. It doesn't work quite as well in common parlance, as it were, but democracy is a system. Policing is a system. Taxes are a system. There's a lot of systems, and like capitalism, all that. Those are systems, and they work in specific ways. And there are systems like slavery, for example, that themselves depend on other systems, and it's like for example, slavery depends on commerce a lot of the time and profit motive and stuff like that. Although not just, I say a lot of the time because it doesn't necessarily have to depend on that, but that interaction with different systems does lead to certain incentives that are exploited, and because they are working within the systems that create more problems than if they didn't exist. Those incentives didn't exist. So, yeah. I hope that allows you to understand a little bit more of why I don't think the Ukatish are being portrayed correctly regarding them as victims anyway. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I am Colonel RPG, and this has been Queen's Wish. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment. Like the video if you want to see the next episode come out sooner rather than later. But above all, thank you so much for watching. Again, I said that twice. I sometimes do that. My outros are not as smooth as I want them to be a lot of the time. And I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.